It's kind of weird that the dragon trophy, like the stone for the dragon, is like bigger, like really wide, but the dragon head's really small. All right, we're all good.
Yeah, I think we're good. Do it. Oh,
right.
we've completed the game. Resistance versus magic damage and lightning damage. Not bad. I'd always forget to use it, but not bad. Forsaken, sacrificed.
It also gives you resistance versus fire as well.
Oh, that's nice. All right, everybody. Let's talk about it. Let's do our usual. How do we feel about Valheim? At the end, this is what we do when we beat a game here on this channel, where we review it but poorly.
We didn't beat it. It's not done yet.
We beat what is here. There's nothing left.
I'm gonna tell you guys something right quick.
Okay.
I didn't get any of these skills till just right now because I didn't know you got skills.
It's okay. They have a 24-minute cooldown.
And they don't do that much.
The only one you use is the Eikthyr one when I want to run somewhere.
And
I
then
just
Civvie
activated
has
every
his.
single one of them.
Well, you have to pick one and take it because that's the only one you can have at one time.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right. I have gathered the council of sitting on the ground Vikings. Cam, please tell me about how you feel about Valheim as it is on 2021-11/05. That is the only format of date I will accept. He loved it so much he ran away. All right, Parker, tell me about Valheim and how you feel about it.
It definitely feels like a game that's like in early access for sure, because it feels like you're just getting off, like in terms of like you're just finally kicking off. You're getting to that survival game thing where like you finally feel like you stabilized, and then the game's over. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For what it is, it's pretty good. Combat's fine.
I have a chair.
I know.
There's a lot of decent mechanics, I guess. It'd be interesting to see what like the full game's like 30 years in the future when they finally finish it.
That's how games are these days.
Yeah, they come out with about 30% of the product, and then they take 30 years to finish. Probably come back to this game at some point. Hopefully it gets better rather than worse. I'm like not really sure how I feel about the new food stuff, if I'm being real. Because I feel like the problem is like, what do you even use stamina food for, right?
Bow and arrow. It's for someone who kites.
And mining.
Yeah, but that's like suboptimal as fuck, right?
Yeah.
Because the problem is that the shield is like too good. It doesn't take that much practice to like get to the point where you can just parry everything, and then once you do that, the game's like fucking over. So shields are still so overpowered that I don't know why you'd use anything else outside of using bows when you absolutely have to, like versus drakes. I don't know. That's kind of like what I'm thinking.
They had to lower the capability of bows because they were too powerful.
Well, this update kind of nerfs shields a bit, I think, because they introduced that like health bar bullshit thing, right?
Yeah, they wanted to make tower shields an option.
But that misses the point of why normal shields are so good, is because they can parry. You literally can't change. Like, I don't think you can make tower shields good enough to justify not being able to parry.
Some people are just bad, you know.
I mean, you don't even need to be good.
Even I can do it.
Like the window to parry stuff is like so forgiving, and also even with like the block limiter, unless it's like a 2-star or something, the regular shield can still block that. And I'm not even sure if the tower shield can block a 2-star, like a 2-star fueling, or a 2-star berserker, which is like ridiculously rare, but who cares? like the only time where the shield thing matters.
You probably can. We just haven't really gone deep into it because parry's too good.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. Is that like even parrying is just better, right? Like it stuns the enemy. It fucking basically kills them if it's a 1v1 fight. I don't know.
All right, Cam.
More work to be done.
Yeah.
They're still looking at it.
I think to sum up the shield thing, I think it would be better if they just buffed two-handed weapons instead of nerfing shields. Give two-handed weapons something better, right? Like
Well, they did try to improve them, so
I think you kind of need to probably
really tested them out this time around, except for using the hammers we did before.
Oopsies.
they only really buff like two-handed axes by just giving the crystal one, but I didn't make the crystal one, so I don't know.
It's
Just
pretty. That's all I know.
yeah, it feels like it's like I don't know what you give them though. Like that's the problem, right? Like
Less stamina drain, maybe.
well, like they do enough damage, right? It's like you pretty much like when I used the battle axe back then, for the tier of weapon it is, which is iron, it basically one shot like a lot of things you were fighting. It was just like so slow.
Yeah.
And then like why don't you just parry, right? Like you parry, do like a double slap with your mace or your sword or whatever weapon you're using, and the thing dies.
Yeah.
And there's zero risk to you to do that. Whereas if you use like the battle axe and you mistime it, you're just like completely screwed, right? But if like even if you fuck up a parry, if you hit the button too soon, which is most likely what you do when you're parrying, you still get a block. You basically don't take damage. And if some enemies actually get stunned, well, stunned, quote, quote, their attack cooldown's so long that you effectively stun them anyway, you just don't get the bonus damage. I don't know.
Guido is a good example.
Yep.
All right. Sounds like Parker's got it out. Cam, since you ran away to get a chair, it's your turn now.
A lot of gathering involved to try and build something.
Yeah, and I pumped the gathering. Like, we're at 3 times the drop rate.
Well, I think that's sort of the thing that gets me about this. Seems to be a disparity between how long it takes to gather and build your base, and then how long it takes to actually finish the tier. Like, okay, base is done. Kill the boss is done. If it wasn't for the boat rides, which, as far as the boat rides go, I wouldn't want to take them away. But once the boat ride's done, you mostly already most of the way to the boss.
Yeah.
Most of my complaints with the game are probably just it's still in a shallow state, still early. Obviously, they weren't as able to work on it as fast as they maybe hoped when everything hit the fan.
Yeah.
I know they made their team a little bit bigger. They had a really small crew, so they are adding people, but it takes time to get them up to snuff too.
It definitely blew up quickly.
I think the issue I have with building the base, there's like 2 issues I have with it, is I think some of the stuff just costs too much. Like, you could probably reduce most of the stone stuff by half. Considering in base game you only have 500 carry weight.
Yeah.
And the drop rate's like 1/3.
And you can't build from boxes.
Yeah.
So you have to constantly go back to your box, get the shit out of your box, build.
Yeah, I could not imagine having to do that the entire game.
We did it.
But
It's not
I kind
great.
of liked the like grind to build stuff. That's like my favorite thing in any kind of survival game like this.
Did you enjoy the farming?
Yeah, I love the farming.
Never got to see the onion soup.
No.
There's onion soup in there right now. I
Well,
already made it.
after this meeting, we'll have to all go lunch on iron soup.
No,
Onion
it's too
soup.
late.
Sorry.
Too late.
Yeah, iron
Fuck.
soup.
Iron soup. All right, V. Tell me how you feel about Valheim as a person who's never played it before. Now, this playthrough.
Found it mostly relaxing, I guess. Yeah, it definitely needs some work, and I agree that it feels like something's missing. But I don't know. I enjoyed it overall. Nothing to really complain about.
All right. All right. Easy peasy. All right, Pine. Give it to me. Give it to me straight, or as straight as you can
Just
manage.
take a squat here. All right. It felt like I was playing a game with 3 other people that knew how to max stat everything, and I was constantly tripping and falling my way, also uphill somehow, which was weird. And then there was Onion Girl,
All right.
and then yeah, then there was the final boss,
Okay.
which was very easy to fight
Yes.
and kind of boring in my opinion.
It's. I don't think it's really
Like-
designed for 5 people to whack it.
I don't know. There could have been some sort of strategy implemented for it.
We beat the boss before it started because we planned around stuff. The boss does a shit ton more damage if you don't have the fire resistance potion.
Even then, I just feel like the amount of damage it took. It's a boss, right? Like, the Frostnir should have only done maybe like double what a Frost Arrow does, right?
Well, he doesn't take it. He barely takes any damage from arrows. Frostnir is just a particularly good weapon versus him because it's like but Frostnir gets like
Undead
bonus
fire
damage
giant.
versus him. Yeah. Frostnir gets bonus damage versus undead due to the spirit damage on it. So it's like it's a good weapon versus it.
It's like three status damages that he's weak against.
It is
Yeah.
frost, spirit, and then blunt.
Yep.
So
I just feel like they could have done more with, like, I don't know, just something instead of just point and shoot. Which,
Yeah, more mechanics
know.
in the
yeah, more
fights, definitely.
mechanics. Maybe add some fucking, like, fuelings in there. Have them, like, come out of his face or something, I don't know. They did almost
Crawl
get
out
it
of his
right, like I
mouth.
was like, ooh, this guy's kind of spooky. There's gonna be a little bit of, like, this is gonna be like a spooky, like, good battle when he first spawned, and then it was just like back to the normal dead
Yeah.
point
just
shoot,
keep hitting.
big dead, keep hitting. Yeah, basically that. Besides that, I don't think there was anything else I had an issue with.
I think the thing with Valheim in particular, for the bosses that are currently in the game, it's more about the setup rather than the fight itself. Because you go into a fight like unprepared, you're just screwed, right?
Yeah.
Like if you go into like we went into Bone Mass, and Bone Mass is really easy, right? Like the third boss, he wasn't really that hard. But going into that fight without poison resistance is like that fight's like really fucking hard.
Yeah, it was not a
But-
great time the first time we did it.
But it's just like the pre-battle prep you do can completely trivialize a lot of fights, right?
Yeah.
Which in some ways, like looking it up on the wiki before you go and fight the boss, or just having fought the boss before on a different server, it kind of like, I guess, ruins it for new players like you guys. Because I'm just like, okay, I've crafted the resistance potions. We need to beat this boss. Let's go. Right?
Again, yeah, it was like playing with people that knew how to max stat everything.
I didn't fight the 5th boss before. We stopped playing before we fought him, but
But you knew the standard procedure, just like
Yeah,
you did with the other bosses.
it's just like you need fire resistance. That's it.
And then the frost weapon that fucking smacks him.
I didn't actually
Yeah.
know that was good, but I was like, wasn't doing very much with my other weapon, and I was just like, you know what, let's try Frostnir. This guy looks undead.
Yeah. I also think, yeah, weapon scaling, instead of just being like, hey, there's this thing called maces and hammers. Maybe more like weapon differences would have been good. Like, I don't know, having swords do anything. Like style
Frostnir's
choice wise, it was like, ooh, you want anything other than like a hammer or a mace? Fuck you. It's not gonna do much.
well, like the problem is that nothing's weak to slash damage, which is what the sword does.
Yeah, there was no like class finesse.
And the biggest problem, I think the biggest offender to this hammer problem is Frostnir itself. It's like way too good.
Yeah. That's
'Cause,
usually
like-
how it goes with games. The big like brute style weapons or classes or whatever the fuck are usually the ones that reign over everything.
Well,
Like,
it's not even really that. It's that Frostnir does way too much, right? Like imagine a situation where you get jumped by like 3 fuelings, right? If you're not using Frostnir, there's a good chance you just get overrun, right? Because you're fighting 3 dudes at once, they all come at you, and what the fuck
same
do you
with
do, right?
wolves.
Yeah, but then you use Frostnir, right? You hit one of the dudes, you back up, that guy basically is stunned for like 10 seconds. He can't get to you. He moves at like 20% normal movement speed. He basically can't do anything. And suddenly it goes from a 3v1 to a 2v1. And then you hit the other guy, and then now you've made three 1v1s instead of a 3v1. And that's like the main reason why Frostnir's fucking stupid. Because I don't think you should give slowing powers to the player. It's too good for this kind of game.
Especially not on a weapon that already does multiple types of damage. Like, that's good against everything. Like,
That might just be a problem for the time being, though, because basically we've beaten 5 bosses. I believe they intended 9.
yeah, one for each
So-
area.
So in the end, Frostnir will end up being a low-tier weapon that helps you cross that gap. But for now, yeah, it's definitely well, that sort of trivialized it.
Yeah, I mean, by the time like either the next tier or the tier after that happens, the damage difference from like the new weapons is going to be too much. I think part of the problem is that they don't make it so that there's a weapon type of every weapon tier. Like there's no max tier spear, for instance.
Or sword.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
there's a
there's a
sword, but
sword,
it's not like a named one. Like, there's no like legendary variant. Like, Frostnir theoretically is like a legendary version of a weapon, but there's no legendary version for every other type of weapon. So it's like, well, Frostnir is just better because it's like it's a purple in a land of blues, right?
Yeah, I mean, the part of the problem is that swords literally aren't good against anything. Like
Yeah.
they're like the neutral. And I think the way this game is, like weapon switching is so easy, and you're not really penalized for carrying multiple weapons. There's no reason to not go into a battle with like 3 different weapons and just adjusting the weapon you use based on what you're fighting. Because like weapon skill doesn't give enough for you to not do that, right? Like I could be 40 in maces and then like 10 in spears, but if the dude's just weak to pierce, you just use the spear, right? Every time, because the spear does like double damage, so it's like automatically better most of the time. There is like one enemy where Frostnir is not good against, and that's Locks. Because I think Locks have resistance versus frost and resistance versus blunt, so they just don't do any damage.
I think there should be a way to kill snow golems. Instead of treating them like a boss or getting them stuck somewhere. But I guess getting them stuck in a way
that would be if they made like
Yeah.
a fire weapon, probably.
Yeah.
If you go back now with all your upgraded gear, they're not that bad. But
Yeah, they're easy to block and take down now.
yeah,
I believe it.
Yeah, I think the like scaling is
Yeah.
too like laddery.
Everything-
You just kind of step up.
Everything here is strictly better than the previous.
Yeah.
which I think I think what should probably happen is as you go through like old enemies should maybe scale up a bit, so that like when the gang wars actually happen, it's not just like a one-sided slaughter.
Hmm.
like fuelings walking into like a swamp, for instance, they just like completely destroy everything, right? Like
Yeah, because the tiers are so different.
the only enemy that really scales up through tiers is like the troll, because its HP and damage are so high that it can actually like fight fuelings and win. But like I don't know. I've seen a troll with like a tree log or whatever, like the tree trolls or whatever. I've seen one of them kill like an entire pack of feelings before. Just because it has such good reach and does so good damage, they just all fucking die. But most of the gang wars are just like extremely one-sided. It'd be interesting to see like gang wars where like the mobs have relatively equal attack and HP values.
All right. Well, that's pretty much everyone. I guess it's all up to me now. I will step into the circle, take out the big hammer, as you do,
Are you gonna hit the gavel?
so I can walk with the hammer. All right. So, Valheim is a video game. We've all played it.
Video games are bad.
Most video games are bad, yes. This video game, it's a good, it's okay. It's not great, but it has lots of growing to do, I think. The food stuff is trash. They need to go back on that. Because, like, stamina food is, one, way too late in the fucking tech tree. Also, speaking of food, why can't I plant my fucking shit in my base? They really want you to have multiple bases, and that's really annoying to have to manage that many bases and that many like item stacks. I would also like to see a higher level boat that is faster, or maybe a way to send metals, like even if that's like a separate like box or something like that, to like the destruction box where it's like, hey, you gotta hit the switch and then the boxes switch inventories or something like that. That would be fine. If you can't bring the metal through the portal, I feel like cheating is very Odin to do in the first place, so we should get on that. I definitely think a lot of the stuff to build either takes too many materials or takes materials that are like quote unquote non-renewable in ways that are annoying, like things that take metal bars. It's like, what the fuck? I have to go do a bazillion mines to just get, a boat or get like doors. I also think that you should be able to build underneath things so you can build docks properly. Also,
Make it easier to build in the water.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, mainly make it easier to build in the water, but
Also
underneath
building
things is good.
up.
Yeah,
Building up is also like an issue
yeah,
that I was having with this one.
Diving down to recover your items.
yes. Being able to swim would be nice, considering it cost me fucking stamina.
Yeah, and less stamina drain while diving down.
Yeah.
Or
Can
swimming
I
in general.
can I get a swim skill or something like that and just like
Swimming for
There
more
is a
than
swim
6
skill.
feet.
There's
Yeah,
a
there
skill. It takes
yeah,
forever.
I just keep dying before it ever levels up. Maybe
If
make
you
a set of
max-
armor. That would be good, like seal armor that lets you swim. That'd be all right.
If you max your swim skill, it reduces stamina by swimming by 50%.
That isn't enough because you can't recover stamina in the water. You should be able to tread water and recover stamina, especially if you had this mystical seal armor. That would be a reason to switch the armor. I would also say maybe they should take a look at like making
They'll make serpent scales.
yeah, making the armor and weapons. Oh geez, Cam dropped out right there.
Sorry about that. Yeah, the serpent scales, they sink when you kill the serpent, so it's like, well, how am I supposed to hunt that?
Yeah. Yeah, the weapons and armor should become more like give them a reason to exist, even in the same tier. Like give them give enemies like more different weaknesses and stuff like that, which I assume they're going to do in the next areas. but they got to spread those enemies across the map a bit, so that you can actually, you know, like use some of the differences on them. Also, maybe they should add some like fortresses or something to the game in each area to make it kind of like the fielding little towers. Like add some more of those, but bigger. That would be fun to clear out, like bigger dungeons. Then you could put
Also, hunting.
cool items.
Hunting mechanics could be cool. Instead of I'm gonna run around a forest until I run into an animal, and I'm gonna chase it.
Yeah, more ways to get game and food that isn't
Like
just
tracking.
like tracking would be good. That would be another good armor set. That seems like a good thing for the troll armor set. Tell you what.
And like less available running into animals all the time. Like a forest is not this packed with deer. So maybe having to track things and then having them respawn eventually.
Well, this is not on Earth, so
Yeah.
My issue with making animals less abundant is the fact that you need to eat food so often, and meat is one of the best sources of food at the moment.
Yeah.
yeah.
So like
That's what
making,
farming's for, yo.
even still, like I have to have like multiple lox farms to really sustain that for even like 1.5 people.
Yeah.
Also, a lot of the food, even though, yeah, you can make vegetable things, a lot of it still needs meat.
And it needs a specific meat. All the meats, the low level meats you should be able to make like effectively like meat pies or something like that just use random meats. So then you can take, like, if you have an abundance of deer, you can still make a bunch of food, because right now, like with sausages, we've got everything we need for sausages except for boar meat, because hunting boars is like below us at this point. But like
That's what the boars farm's for.
yeah, but like things that don't need specific, like things that aren't named something specific, like obviously the lox, like roast, like obviously needs lox, but like fucking
Make other roasts.
yeah, fucking sausages. The whole thing with sausages is you put lips and assholes in it. You put all the garbage pieces of meat. That's what sausages are. So why can't we just put any meat we want to into them?
But why do they taste so good?
Because they're covered in salt
They're greasy.
and greasy
Fuck
as
yeah.
fuck. Just like Gordon Ramsay's hot pussy.
Fuck.
Shit.
You smack the hammer down in the center of the thing when you're done.
Okay, yes, I can do that.
Like a gavel. Fucking smack it.
What else do we need? I think the sea travel is all right, but I could definitely handle fewer sea monsters.
Faster boats.
Faster
Or-
boats would be nice.
Or at least a way to fight them would be nice on the sea. And then also be able to reclaim all their shit without it sinking to the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah. And maybe make like a boss sea monster too, so you have like a cool sea thing to fight. Although I never want to see it myself. You should be able to avoid it. It should like travel in like a big ass storm that's seeable on the map or some dumb shit like that. Like
And at the very worst, you have to go around it
Yeah.
or dock for a while.
make the sea travel more reliant on like weather maybe, rather than just like point boat in direction and set sails for whatever the fuck sail works for that, which is max
Sort of
sail
is
or no
like-
sail.
It expects you to land in the server and learn the routes
Yeah.
because the wind is predictable.
Yes. It's always going the exact opposite way that I want to go. I understand.
Oh no, it's actually got patterns. But if you're constantly never going the same route, then you'll never learn the patterns.
Yeah. I would like
But
to
there's
see
no
that a little more
incentives to go
random.
the same route. Like, why would you ever go the same route?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, if you were, say, like, if you were farming metal, like the black iron, you would do the same route to bring it back to your base if you were a one base group. But kind of the game makes you have multiple bases, so that just kind of sucks. Which is also kind of good because the multiple bases thing means you don't have like a big ass base. You can't build up. Or you,
Multiple bases is sort of like the boss's issue, where they're tough unless you're pre-prepared.
yeah, it's when you get set down after that. It's like, okay, yeah, this base is I'm pretty much invulnerable here. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Because like that mountain base we have, there's 2 stacks of silver ready to be taken home. Just sitting there. So if you wanted to, you could just collect all the resources you need, take it to that base, and make what you want. It's only if you have furniture that you want to make that you're stuck.
yeah,
This game is definitely more for the I'm just going to sit here, relax, and do this thing for a while.
yeah. But then
And
like
there's like nothing wrong with that. Some games are just meant for that.
the amount of shit you have to gather to make that happen though is like bananas. You're gonna have to hit a lot of rocks. So many rocks.
Yeah.
Until you get to the mountain, and then you kind of there's enough rocks, but still, it's a lot of rocks. I definitely would like to see you be able to dig deeper and then just like get rocks, like make a quarry of some sort.
I think a better way is just to reduce the costs of rocks on everything.
That
like
too. Preferably both.
I think if you just reduced everything by half, it wouldn't be that bad. You wouldn't need to get that many rocks. Like, a stack of rocks doesn't really get you very far.
Yeah.
If
Well, when each block costs 6.
yeah,
Yeah.
you don't. You get like what, like
18, something like that.
you get about 16 or 17 out of a stack, which isn't great. It's just kind of there.
Yeah, even if you just look at what Cam's built here, that's not even one row all the way across. So he'd have to have several stacks just to do a perimeter, which is...
And then you look at my
bananas.
base and you're like, oh,
Yeah. There's a reason why the home base has so many. But we've been yammering on for a while. We can always come back, play more Valheim later. But for today, I deem this game closed for now until we find something else to do in it. Unless you guys want to keep playing, I'll just leave the server on because it doesn't mean anything to my computer. And we may revisit it later. But we'll probably have to regenerate the world, which means we'll be able to keep our characters. So before I regenerate the world,
They need to grab dragon tears.
yeah, we'll grab all of our crap, put it in our inventory, and then we can kickstart. And then we don't have to wander around the forest naked again, unless you want to. I won't stop you from doing that yourself.
But that's on your own time.
That's you. I'm Civvie.
I'm Parker.
I'm Cam.
B.
I'm fine.
And
Oh, the chair.